I want to do a response video to an article that I came across 2 days ago from, you guessed it, theroot.com. Shout out to the author, Dana Sheriff. She wrote a stellar piece on this subject you're seeing right now on the title. Are only Black American descendants of U.S. slaves deserving of reparations? Now, this is a popular talking point here on the Black internet, in particular in Black YouTube, and shout out to those people who have been bringing it to a national needed discussion. And also Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell, who have been pushing this hashtag ADOS movement. Dr. Claude Anderson was one of the more people that pushed it out in front, and now this new generation is keeping this thing going. So kudos to them. But the question is, are Black American descendants of U.S. slaves deserving of reparations? Now, the person who makes the strongest argument is a guy by the name of William Garrity. I believe I'll call him Dr. William Garrity. He's a professor at Duke University. And he says there needs to be a difference between Black Americans, those who came from African lineage and those who came to the United States of America, and also those from Africa. In order for you to be able to get reparations, you should be able to trace your direct ancestors in the United States that came from Africa. And then, for example, they use this article. They use example. Barack Obama, who is considered to be Black, cannot trace any of his ancestors to America. He can trace his to Kenya. And his wife, Michelle Obama, can trace hers all throughout the lineage, right? She's an African American. Now, it's hard to tell a Black person that they are not owed reparations. But here's the counter argument that I'm hearing from the African and the Caribbean community. What they're saying is, well, this whole reparations thing, it divides us, right? There's a division in between the Blacks. We're separating ourselves now. And this encourages xenophobia or hostility between the two groups. And, guys, I'm hearing that. And they also talk about, well, we've also experienced racism since we've been here. But those are what I call ad hominems. All right. And and for the African brothers and sisters that use that, and the Caribbean brothers, like, really, get a better argument. Okay. That is an ad hominem. That is not dealing with the argument. You experiencing xenophobia or not, which you don't, because xenophobia is what's happening in South Africa. And in fact, African Americans have been very accepting of Caribbeans and Africans in our communities. We don't burn up their businesses. We don't destroy their stuff. We've never have. We've always worked with them. It's against the argument here. Okay? You experiencing racism, it's against the argument. And the guy makes a point. Those Africans that came over to the United States, our Caribbeans, have been doing so for the most part from the civil rights, the end of the civil rights movement, when African Americans have paved the way. Now, obviously in New York, you have in Chicago history of some Haitians and African Americans living together, but not a whole lot. The fact is, at one point in Nigeria, I'm using them for an example, their currency, it wasn't called the Naira then, it was worth more than the US dollar. Zimbabwe had a currency worth more than the US dollar. All right? But the destabilization of Africa, the destabilization of the Caribbeans, they came after African Americans did all of the intellectual and hard, heavy lifting. The fighting, the being jailed, the protest, not being able to vote. To me, it sounds like this is another push for Africans in other words, those who have this argument, because a lot of African brothers who agree with this, right? It's another push to be able to say, we deserve what you guys get too, because we're also black. Which is nonsense. Because here's what I want to say. Those people who deserve reparations that are African and Caribbean, you do deserve it. You just don't deserve it from the United States government. The Jamaicans, the Trinidadians, Nigerians, Ugandans, Kenyans, South Africans, Zambians, Zimbabweans, Tanzanians. You deserve yours from the United Kingdom government. That's who you need to be talking about reparations to. It's not the United States. You're not even involved in this discussion. Your discussion is with the UK. The same thing with the brothers from Ivory Coast, Senegal. All right? Guinea, Burkina Faso. I mean, the list goes on and on. Who should you be talking to? France, Belgium, Rwanda. Rwanda, Congo. Who should be talking to? Belgium. Mozambique, Angola, Portugal. You see, everybody deserves something, but not from the U.S. government. And what it would be a greater thing for brothers in Africa that have a problem with ADOS or to have a problem with this is, what I want to know is, why are people not seeking these things and damages from the people that have destroyed the countries in question? For example, you go to Uganda, you go to Kenya, you go to all these other places. It's quite obvious that the country has been destabilized by outside forces. We know that for a fact for French. The French owe these countries money. Okay? And the UK owe these countries money, in my opinion. It's all about being strategic. And this is what I challenge the Pan-African communities, right? The Pan-African communities who are against ADOS. Oh, it's stupid. It's dumb. We should be working together. Well, then why isn't the Pan-African community addressing this, gauging people to be going towards the people who have wronged them? You're never going to hear the Pan-African community talk about, well, then let the Nigerians, let the Kenyans, let the Ugandans seek reparations in the UK, let the African Americans seek it from the United States. No. They just want to be against the ADOS situation. And I can understand that you might have some talk of people who dislike certain people for whatever reasons, but we got to understand this. The arguments that I hear against ADOS, against reparations, are against the argument. It's another ply for those people who want to be included in it and they don't have any sweat involved. And see, that's the situation. If I go to Uganda or to Nigeria as African American and I say, I want in on your natural resources, people are going to be like, what? You don't deserve this. The Africans to tell you real quick, no. Well, you can explain that all day. Well, I'm from the continent. My ancestors was here. That'd be just like me talking about, I need to get citizenship. Africans will tell you real quick, no. You ain't getting no citizenship. You weren't born here. You don't have no skin in the game on the continent. What do you do to deserve citizenship? And that's the same thing I'm saying. What do you do to deserve reparations or be involved in the reparations argument? You don't have a dog in this fight. And I'm seeing these arguments that to me doesn't make any sense. All right? And as far as the xenophobia, let's kill that. Okay? It's crap. Africans talk trash to African Americans and vice versa. Been doing that for years. That's all it is. If anything, it's a roast session. And people go on about their day and all of that. But guys, read the article pinned to the top. Let me know what you think. Thank you for coming, watching the video. What's going on? What do you guys feel? Are only black Americans deserving reparations? Do Africans also deserve it? Do Caribbeans deserve it? And also the Brazilians. They have a right to talk about that in their country. They deserve it from Brazil. Guys, let's come talk about it. And as you know, as the buffoonery, it always remains at an all-time high. I'm out.